to We Watch Movies,
I'm Ava,
and I'm Jenna.
and we watch movies. So, this week we watched all of the Fear Street movies, um, because we felt it was best if we covered all three of them in like one fell swoop. Um, because they go together. They're a team. So in case you haven't heard of the Fear Street movies, Netflix has recently released a trio of horror movies. That it's a trilogy, I should say. They made them all at once, released them almost all at once, like over the course of like a month. And it's about this town called Shadyside, and this group of teenagers who they're living in this town where everything seems to be cursed. There's a lot of like murders that happen, and they find out that they're being hunted by paranormal murderers from the past of their town, and then they find out that it's actually a curse made by a witch, and then they're all like, oh, we gotta stop the witch, and then so they go on this whole adventure to try to save their friend and everything. And then in the second movie we get a flashback from somebody who survived it in the past, and that's when they learn, well, they already learned, but like that's kind of where they explain how the evil demonic murderers will stop hunting you when your heart stops. And then we had we have a third one that starts as a flashback to the witch's story that gives us a big reveal, and then we have the second half of that is back in present day when they finally defeat the main villain. So basically it's kind of just like if Zack Snyder made a horror movie, it would be this, but it would be one thing. And that's the gist of Fear Street. So, let me ask Jenna, what were your initial reactions? Oh yeah, we forgot about the slow-mo. Zack Snyder would put slow-mo. But anyways, yeah, Jenna, what was your initial reaction?
I had a much better time than I thought I would. I really didn't know anything about these movies. Ava just seemed very enthused by the idea, and she said that she had already seen the first two and they were good. So I ended up watching all three of these movies over the course of like 2 days, so I just consumed so much Fear Street in a limited amount of time. But I enjoyed them. I mean, I don't watch a lot of horror movies, but I definitely thought that they did a lot of things that I wish more horror movies would do. And it definitely helped that they were a trilogy released all kind of like at the same time, but even then I think they used that to their advantage, and they were just good movies.
Yeah, it's like they were able to play off of the style of a lot of different movies. You had I got like Scream vibes from the first one, and then the second one had a lot of Friday the 13th, and then the last one, I think the movie that it was reminding me of was The Witch or Witch or whatever. It's that weird one that's like it looks like it's spelled with 2 V's instead of a W. I liked this one more than I liked that one. It was more fun, but it's like you get a lot of homages to different styles of horror movies and throughout the whole history of, I guess, the horror movie genre. And it's kind of tropey in some ways, but it's not tropey in a bad way. And I think that was really, really well done, because a lot of times when movies play off of other movies and they use tropes or whatever, they use them poorly, or sometimes movies will avoid tropes to like they're like so hell-bent on not using a trope, and then it'll be like too weird, because sometimes you can't avoid using tropes. And I think they definitely used tropes to their advantage. They were creative about it, but also familiar, I guess. I don't know. I thought that it was really well done. Yeah.
Yeah, they used tropes in a way that gave us, like, the audience, what we kind of want to see from the movie that we're going into, but it also wasn't trying to draw attention to, oh, look at what we're doing. Doesn't this remind you of other things you like? Like, it made them its own for the story instead of just doing them for the sake of attention.
Yeah, I do have to say, they had a lot of really creative killers from the past of Shadyside that were like in their canon. And you got like glimpses of them, but like I don't know. I think that the camp killer was not the most interesting one.
No.
In my opinion, I wanted to see some of the other ones get highlighted. Like, I don't know, there was that freaking like baby that did something, or there was one like with a gas mask. And then I don't know, there's just like a bunch of them that were like really cool that we didn't get to see much of. So they had this whole really like extensive universe, which I don't know if I almost feel like it might have lent itself well also to a limited series, but I mean this kind of was a limited series. But it's really good that they had a lot of details, but also I feel like they could have used a cooler villain for the second one. But alas, it was cool nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, while I didn't mind that they were, like, using a character that we had already been introduced to and kind of had, like, liked on their own merit before they turned into a killer, and then we also have the character's reactions to that being the killer, like, that was an interesting dynamic. But, like, you also have, like, all of these other killers that were introduced in the movie before that one, where it's like you have like the Ruby Lane girl, you have the Milkman, like that are all, I guess, like a little more frightening and just cooler than just person with axe and eventually sack over their head. Like, I don't know. Personal opinion. That axe was overpowered.
Yeah, but I mean, especially throughout the second movie, he mostly didn't have the sack over his head, and that was like his scariest form. And so he was just kind of a random guy walking around with an axe, and it was like, oh, there were cooler people that you could have picked, but that's just a minor complaint, I guess, because it was really good otherwise. In the second movie, in the second movie, I did wonder a little bit about, because afterwards, when they were going through the different, spoiler alert, by the way, good is evil, when they were going through the different generations of the good, firstborn sons who were sacrificing different Shadysiders, and then they had the young, Nick Good, sacrificing Sack Man or whatever his name
Tommy?
was.
Was his name Tommy?
Yes,
Sackman?
Tommy. Okay. Yeah. And they had him sacrificing it, but it didn't seem like he knew what was going on in the actual movie, so either he's a really good actor or that was just weird.
No!
Because I feel like it would have made more sense for his father to have done that. What?
I would have agreed with you, but the other night I was thinking about that because, I don't know, I couldn't sleep or something. And I was thinking, and at first I didn't like how they made him responsible for everything that happened at the camp. I really didn't like that. And I still don't really agree with that choice, but there was one part in the movie that was really weird to me and stuck out to me, but I kind of just moved on because other things were happening. But it's when he finds someone in, like, the bathhouse or something, and his brother comes up to him, like, oh, hey, I just found this person here, like, this wasn't me. And then he, like, looks at him and he's like, wait, was it you? And at first I was like, this is, like, I get that this character is kind of stupid, but, like, why is he asking him if he did it? Like, he clearly didn't. But then I was thinking, after I watched all of them, did he know that it could be responsible for, like, causing someone to kill all these people? Like, I probably sound like a raving theorist right now, but I think, like, I don't know. like there was that one
Um,
scene that was just really weird to watch with no context that I almost forgot about afterwards, but otherwise they didn't mention anything about him doing it, which is weird.
yeah, I mean, don't worry, Jenna. We accept film theorists on this channel. Um, but no, I never really thought of that. I kind of just like ignored that bit. But because I didn't he have blood on his shirt at some point, and maybe that was why. Um, but I think that that would have been a really cool choice if they had more moments like that. But I feel like Nick was just so not. He just seemed so out of the loop for that whole movie. And then like he saved Ziggy, but also like I feel like if he were sacrificing somebody from Shadyside, he wouldn't have sacrificed somebody like at his own camp and stuff. I don't know. I feel like it would have made more sense if that was his father sacrificing Tommy at the time, because also he was really young, and I thought it was only like one per generation. But
Well, wasn't his father already dead at that point?
was he?
I think his father was dead because he was talking about how, like, oh, it's not exactly being great being the next sheriff or the sheriff's son, and like my dad left all this stuff on my shoulders right before he died.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I feel like, but I also feel like that was a choice that could have been changed around if they wanted to make it more sense. Because I liked Nick being good. Nick Good being good. But I liked him being a good guy in the second movie, and then I liked him being a bad guy in the third movie. I just didn't like him being a secret bad guy in the second movie.
Yeah, I agree.
You know?
I really did like how the writers were like, oh, look at this, like, kind of nice guy in childhood, but like, oh, now he's given power as an adult and he's changed. I really didn't, like, it felt like the writers just, like, completely betrayed my trust, and I didn't appreciate how they, like, had that whole movie where I was like, yo, yeah, I like this character, and then they were like, no, he actually caused a serial killer event, and I didn't appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was just a little weird. I thought that was strange. But I don't know. We can't dwell too much on our villain being a little bit meaner than we thought when he was young. But I do think that the whole like when they turned these random people into killers, it was kind of really sad. Like I was rewatching the first one. I watched like the beginning of it because I was watching it with a friend. And it was that part where he was just like a normal good guy. He was like having fun. I don't remember what his name was. Ryan?
Yeah, like
I
Ryan Torres?
Yeah. He was like having fun. He was like a good person. And then he just thought somebody said something and he was like, what? And he just seemed like a nice person. Then all of a sudden, he was like, he was crazy and then he died. And I was like, dude, he didn't deserve that.
Yeah, and then, like, it was always sad because these were, like, just regular people living regular lives and trying to make the most of things, and then all of a sudden they're ruining not only their life, but other people's lives because of something they have no control over. And, like, the reactions to all of, like, the deaths and everything that was happening, too, amongst the people in Shadyside was also really sad to watch.
Yeah, like some of the bits of this movie were like disturbing if you think about them. Like you think long about them, they get like disturbing and terrifying. And that's like the other thing cuz I mean, like slashers and whatever, that's usually like that's been done before, but like and so have devil deals, they've been done before, but like it's I don't know, it's just something was different about this one that just made it more unsettling to me, I guess. And I don't know. I think it was a really effective plot idea, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there were tons of moments, like, yeah, there are a lot of moments when people are getting stabbed or blood is coming out of some body part that it should not be coming out of because someone did something. Like, there are all those moments. And also, I don't know how much the human body, like, how much trauma, like physical trauma, it can go through via like stab wounds and everything. And I definitely think some characters probably should have died. But I'm not gonna get into that because I'm not a doctor. Who knows?
Are you referring to Ziggy?
Yeah, I don't think CPR would have saved her, but that's another thing. And then, like,
I'm not sure if that's how CPR works.
well, I just don't think, like, if you're if you're bleeding out, and then you, like, I don't know, like, maybe it does.
If there's
I'm not
no
saying
blood
it
for
can't.
the heart to pump.
Yeah.
If there's no blood for the heart to pump, then how is it supposed to pump? I'm sorry, it doesn't make sense.
Like, unless she was,
and
like,
also, it's
choking a little bit on the blood and, like, doing the CPR helps, like, clear the airway a little bit more, but
she got stabbed a lot.
I know!
And, like, you bring her consciousness back, she's just gonna go back out because she's not done bleeding.
I know, like,
you can't really stop that bleeding.
Like, she and her sister were having that moment, and both of them are just getting repeatedly stabbed the whole time, and I'm like, wait a minute. This is a lot of stab wounds.
Oh my gosh. And I see the girl who plays Ziggy is she's also on Stranger Things. That's what she's on. Her name is Sadie Sink, and every time I see her in something, I can't tell if I either like her like a decent amount or viciously hate her. I don't know why. It's just okay. Here's the thing. I don't have problems with her. She's fine. I have no reason to dislike her. But for some reason, every time I see her, I can't tell if I like her or irrationally dislike her. And it's strange. And it's weird. And I don't know what's wrong with me.
I feel like they cast her for the same, like, kind of, like, role of, like, girl who is, like, kind of, like, doesn't behave super well, but also isn't, like, a bad person, but can come off as annoying as a character.
I don't know. But has she been in anything else?
I think so, but I couldn't tell you what off the top of my head. Oh, Google.
Maybe it's just because the two characters I've seen her as are kind of annoying to me, but also not, but also are. I don't know if it's her or if it's her characters. I really don't. But, like, is that just a me thing? Like, you have a character and you look at them and you can't tell if you either like them or viciously hate them?
I mean, not so much, because I don't really know as many, like, actors and, like, roles as you do, but I mean, I can see that being a thing.
Well, I mean, it happens a lot for characters, too, but, like, I don't know, there's this one actress who bothers me for no reason. I have no reason to dislike her. She's probably a fine person. But I watched a show she was in, and she was my absolute least favorite character, and then she appeared in a show that I was watching with my sister, and she was my absolute least favorite character. And I don't know, something about her characters were both aggressively annoying. But and it's like the kind of same thing with Ziggy. Also, her name is Ziggy.
Yeah, no, and they did the whole thing in the second movie with, oh wait, like, your name was Christine or whatever, because they were, like, kind of half-heartedly trying to get the audience to think that Cindy was the one who lived.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't tell if
Yeah.
I had any patience for that, because I was like, we know that a camper did CPR on another camper for them to survive, and I don't know, that seemed very, like, tiring, the whole thing of, like, oh, but, like, we're gonna try and trick you, because after a point I was like, I wonder what they're trying to do here.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I might have liked it more if Cindy survived and they didn't try to do that. You see what we did? It was a trick. Because I don't know. But also, I don't have any reason to think that Cindy would be better if she survived. I have no reason to believe that. I just kind of...
I think it would have fit the Shady Side vibe of
I don't
like,
know.
oh,
I feel like...
oh, like, hey, I tried to save my sister and I couldn't, and now I have to live with it.
Yeah, I don't know, but then you wouldn't have the connection to Nick, and I don't know. There are a bunch of different ways that you could break the sacred timeline here. And then okay, wait, there was the first one, and actually she was one of the characters that were throughout the whole thing. Who was it? The girlfriend, not the main girl, but her girlfriend. What was her name? Sam. I found her aggressively annoying. No reason. I just did. And you know what made me mad in the first movie? Because that girl, one of the girls, what is her name? Kate. She was all like, "Hey, maybe we don't all need to die to save Sam. Like, maybe this is a bit much." And she was like, "I don't want to die for this girl." And she expressed that, and then she died for her. Literally, so many people died for her. And I'm like, I mean, I'm not saying that trading lives is like okay, but also it just made me mad that she was like, she didn't even want to sacrifice herself for her, and then she'd sacrifice herself for her anyways. And I was like, yeah, you go, Kate, you're cool. Sam isn't. She's boring, but whatever.
Yeah, and I didn't really like how they killed two of the friends, because in the end they kind of did the whole thing with where they were talking about them and how they weren't just like two like drug sellers. They were people who were just trying to like do their best, and they were just young kids.
Yeah.
So like, well, I did like that. I also would have preferred it if like everybody got out, because I don't know, I feel like the movie kind of focused more on kids in horror movies who normally would be really quick to die, if that makes any sense. So I think it would have been better if everybody got to live. But who knows? That's just personal preference. I also really didn't want to see someone get killed by their head going through a bread slicer. So...
Oh, but that was cool.
I mean, it was cool.
That was cool,
good thinking. But did I want to see it? No.
I don't necessarily think that a bread slicer would be that strong.
Hey, this was the 90s. Who knows?
I did see... I saw a behind the scenes clip on Instagram of that bit, and it was cool how they made it.
Was it a cake?
I don't know. It was, part of it was
Oh my
cake.
god.
Part of it was, I don't know, I feel like part of it was like meat, and then like part of it was like styrofoam. Like they put like a dummy through it, and they put a bunch of different things through it, and then like layered it, I guess. I don't know. It was cool though. But I don't know if you've noticed this about me, but I'm very much a supporting character fan. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't like main characters, but very frequently, I don't like main characters. I don't know if it's because I don't like main character energy, or if it's because main characters are very easy to make boring. But it's not very frequent that my favorite character in a show is the main character. It's not really a common occurrence. And in this one, the main characters are that's something about horror movies that happens a lot. It's always the final girl. It's always the main character that ends up surviving. And so my favorite character of the first movie, which was Kate, she died. and then the main characters. I'm sorry, I think I'm the only person who ever complains about people not killing off their main characters. That's just a me
I feel
thing.
like
I'm sorry.
not enough people do it. So if you could pull it off, that's kind of a power move, and you should go for it.
Like, I don't know. I just kind of wish that Sam died.
Yeah, but what is it?
I don't know.
I mean, she did die though.
Me.
Also, wait, can I just say, on the topic of Sam dying, so they did the whole thing where they were like, oh, you have to die, we have to stop your heart. And I was like, okay, go drown the girl. And they were like, no, we're gonna make you overdose on drugs and bring you back with EpiPens. And I was like, where did you get that thought from?
Wait, your initial thought was to drown her?
Do some awake ending thing.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's good thinking. Yeah, that's smart. But like I thought that when you drowned somebody and they stopped moving, that was just them going unconscious, not their heart stopping. Is that their heart stopping?
I think, because you're not getting any oxygen to your brain.
So when you stop moving, it's not you going unconscious, it's you actually dying?
I mean, I don't know how... I mean, I don't know the exact science.
Jenna, recite to me the science
of drowning,
I don't know the
please. Science of drowning.
Why? You're supposed to be the smart one.
Listen, Ava, do you know what I got on my AP Physics exam? That's not possible. Moving on. I don't know how drowning works, but I feel like if you don't have oxygen going to your brain and going through your blood, your heart can't really pump anymore, and your brain can't tell your heart to keep pumping or for any other function to be happening. And I feel like between all of the ways you could die and get your heart to stop, drowning doesn't cause much, like, exterior trauma, so it's not like if you were to shoot someone, then you have to deal with all the blood leaving their body. And same with, like, having someone overdose to get their heart to stop. That can really screw up what's going on inside of you. So I don't know why you would do that.
Don't you get high when you drown? Isn't that a thing?
Okay, you know what? We're looking up how do you actually die from drowning.
Well, I thought that when you drowned, you kind of like... you get like high. On, I don't know if it's carbon dioxide or something, but I heard that like right before you die when you're drowning, you get like really happy or something. So like, I don't know, maybe drowning is the way to go.
Well, yeah, because you know what? What happens is you're holding your breath, and then eventually your body will make you take a breath, even though you're underwater. So the water gets into your lungs.
Okay,
that's as far as I got with Google. Well, yeah, but then when you don't... Okay, but when you don't have oxygen, that hurts your organs. Your organs need the oxygen, especially your brain. So you get major organ damage.
So your organs go owie?
Exactly.
Well, I'm just so technical with my terms and everything. Well, that was a good little conversation.
Please do not take any of that to be factually accurate. At least from me. I don't know what I'm talking about.
You know, I didn't mind... I didn't mind Dina as much as I minded Sam. But, like, at the end, my favorite character had to be Josh. And, like, I mean, it had to be Josh. Like, he was my favorite character at the end. Like, that's because they killed off Kate, and she was cooler. because like I don't know, it's like I don't know, she was cool, and then Sam's just like not. Dina was fine. Josh was fine. I like, and then it's episode 2, or not episode. Oh my god, movie 2. I liked Cindy, and I did like Nick. I did like him.
Alice was the best character in the second movie, and you can't prove me wrong.
She was a bit analog for my taste.
That is true, but it was the 70s?
Yeah, still kind of analog. I do have to say though, this whole like the way that the Sunnyvale. Okay, first of all, before I get into this, Sunnyvale and Shadyside. I mean, you guys gotta like come up with better names, okay? Because I don't know, that's like not how people name towns. They're not like, oh, this is the good place and this is the bad place. Like, you gotta make it a little bit more like, I don't know, ambiguous.
Or at the very least, you make
name it
Sunnyvale the cursed one and Shadyside the good one.
Oh, that would have been cool
like,
too.
At the very least, if you're hung up on those names.
No, but what I was gonna say was, oh my god, what was it? Oh yeah, the kids in Sunnyvale and the way that they talked about Shadysiders was so bad, like so bad. I mean, I get that it was the 90s, but like taking pleasure in the fact that a bunch of people in the next town over got murdered, or like chasing down their bus and like what were they doing? Egging their bus while they were driving. Like, oh my god. And then what that bully girl did in the second movie before she vanished from the face of the script was intense. Like, these were like Stephen King bullies, you know? Like, oh my god.
Yeah, like, the animosity between these two towns, like, is anyone gonna stop this? This seems really unhealthy and dangerous.
Are there any adults who don't share this kind of mentality? I did like that the witch wasn't the bad person. That was cool. I liked that. Whatever his name was. Who was that old guy that she was like apparently in love with?
Solomon? Oh my god, there was the one scene at the end when they're fighting and he's like, don't make me hurt you, and he's like, I love you, or like, I care about you. I was like, this is by far the worst thing I've had to watch in these movies.
I mean, like, okay, I thought that I read somewhere that I feel like every time I say, oh, I thought that I read somewhere that it's always like a bad thing. But I thought that I read somewhere that in the past, old people, like, marrying young people, like, old men and, like, young women, was not as common as people, like, think. Like, apparently it was more common for nobility, and then just regular people just married, like, regular people.
Yeah, I mean, that
and
sounds
so
right.
I don't know.
I mean, I can't independently verify that, but yeah. I mean, there was also pressure in the nobility to, like, keep the bloodline a certain way, or to, like, marry for money and everything. But amongst the common people, that wasn't really a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want somebody to make a period movie or like an old movie where people act like actual people. You know, I mean, they did a little bit of that in this one where they were like going out to have a party and stuff, and like that's something that you never really see in these kinds of old movie, or not old movies about old timey stuff. But yeah, I don't know. That was weird, them together. But I also feel like, I mean, I get that it was a flashback, right? But I did think that it would have been cool if they had the actual actress of the witch, maybe in some capacity, more so than just like the flashbacks. Like if they had, because they had a whole new cast for the second one, but they didn't have a whole new cast for the third one. That was kind of weird to me.
Because I mean, recasting everyone for like the old Union colony or whatever it was called on the one hand was cool because it kind of helped you like visualize like this is what's currently happening now compared to what is happening in the past. But on the other hand, it was also really weird because
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what anyone's names were. I just referred to them as they were in the other movies. So like it didn't like I guess it would make sense in some capacities, but on the other hand, it's like I kind of want to keep these characters separate from the other characters, and showing me their face doesn't help. All it does is make me say, wow, these actors are pretty talented if they can do these like old-timey accents too.
Yeah, it was just kind of jarring to me because like the second movie was a completely different cast, but then this was like the same cast as the first one. It's like, are you trying to do different casts, or are you trying to do like an American Horror Story kind of thing? But I don't know, it was weird. And also just like, I mean, it would have made more sense, I feel like, if it was just Dina's actress and everybody else was new, because also it's her seeing the world through her eyes, you know? It's not her seeing it through her own eyes, it's her seeing it through the witch's eyes. Sarah Fier or whatever. And I feel like that would have, I don't know, I feel like it would have made more sense to me. It would have been more user friendly. I don't know. It would have been cool to have more people in on this cast. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just confusing because my mind kept thinking like, oh, is this supposed to be the people from the first movie are in the same role? Or is it just like, it was just really weird to kind of wrap your head around, and it was distracting from everything else the movie was doing. Like, keeping like, because it was Nick's actor too that was playing Solomon, right? The hair kind of threw me off.
Yeah, I
Like,
guess so.
Keeping him
probably.
And keeping Dina's actor, I could, that was fine, but it didn't really make sense to me to keep like everybody else, like other actors and actresses that we had already seen before.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was strange. It was kind of inconsistent in that way. But I did think it was powerful. I thought it was effective. I just, you know, they would have clips of Sarah Fier saying her lines, like the actual Sarah Fier, and it was like, it would just be so cool to let her have that performance, you know? And I mean, like, that, I don't know, I just would have liked more of her, I guess, because she was, I thought she was pretty good. And then, what was it? Something happened that I wanted to talk about. I don't know. It'll come to me. So do you want to take this moment to tell me what you thought about the music?
I enjoyed the music. When it was doing its own original score, it definitely hit all of the usual staples that you would get for a horror movie, and it definitely got me into the movie itself. And then it would have like good music for action scenes, and I thought it utilized outside songs that like already existed to kind of build the time period and setting and overall atmosphere for the three different movies, because ultimately you have like your kind of like 90s like high school kids on the run from killers in the first movie, then you have serial murderer at summer camp, so you kind of have to build a different vibe, and it's also like 20-ish odd years in the past. And then you have the 1660s, which obviously you're not going to get any, like, you know, CDs from then, so you have to kind of make your own thing. But then you also have to get your audience back into the 90s halfway through that movie. So ultimately, like, the music wasn't like necessarily anything that I was like super enthralled by, but it definitely served its purpose and had a lot that it had to do that I think it did well.
Yeah. I picked up on like some bits of the they had like a motif, and I don't remember what it was off the top of my head. But it reminded me of something. And I don't know what it reminded me of. Maybe it was Coven that it reminded me of. American Horror Story Coven. I think it was effective, and I always kind of forgot that it had its own like thing. It had its own song. A little melody that it kept popping up in the other movies, but like in different instruments. And I didn't notice it until really at the end because it was more like mystical. And I don't know, because I'm not used to getting like, because a lot of the movies that we watch, I mean, they have soundtracks, but they're kind of forgettable sometimes. Because I'm more used to getting a motif that's super noticeable in movies like, I don't know, like movies like the Avengers movies. Like you hear da 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 and like any moment in any of those movies, and you kind of like lose your mind. And then they had one of those in this, and I promise it's not as forgettable as I'm making it seem, because I just can't remember it off the top of my head. But I don't know, I liked how they were able to translate it, like you said.
Yeah, no, and one thing, like, this isn't so much music related, but translating, I guess, but the first movie opened with the mall, and I was kind of disappointed when most of the first movie didn't really take place in the mall, because, I don't know, mall at night kind of closed down, like, I was, like, really into those vibes, and then they didn't really go back to it, and I was like, oh man, that's kind of a bummer, but then they brought it back for the finale, and I was like, I take it back. You clearly had greater plans that I did not understand, and I appreciate this.
If you want more of those like mall vibes, there's apparently, I don't know how long it's going to be around, but if you're listening and you're like in California, they have I think it's, what is it, Fear Street Rentals or whatever the store was called or something. They have one of those like made in Hollywood right now, somewhere around there, and you could go for like free, and it's like a Trail of Terror kind of thing inside, and it goes through, you get to go through like the halls and you get scared, and then there's a scene that's in the camp, and then they have like that scene in the church at the end with the guy with no eyes and the pews move and stuff, and I saw a video of it on TikTok. It was really cool. So if you're in California, check it out and let us know what you think.
Oh my god, the pastor with no eyes. Oh no, I did not appreciate him.
Yeah, that was freaky. Yeah, that was cool. I feel like, I don't know, ow.
What? Are you okay?
Ow, okay. Yeah, no, my hair got caught.
That's not
and
good.
It hurt. But yeah, there's a lot about like to talk about for these three movies, because they're all good in their own rights, and they're all so different, and I don't know, I feel like maybe I mean, you'll definitely have a favorite. Like, Jenna, which one of these were your favorite? Yeah. Definitely, I don't think the third one was my favorite. Either the first one or the second one were my favorites. I don't really know which one I would pick, though. But, I mean, I feel like depending on what kind of movies you like, you'll probably have a favorite when you watch them. Because they're all so different, but they're so cohesive, too. And they add to this entire building lore, and it's like, if they wanted to like, they could spin the heck off of this series. Like, they could make an entire extended universe, and it would be better than like the Conjuring cinematic universe, because that one kind of is weird. So like, if you want it, like Hollywood, if you want to make a horror movie cinematic universe, build it off of this one, because you've already successfully done 3 different movies. And there are so many different killers that you can explore. Because, like, I don't know, you can't just go around calling this, like, crazy murderer the Milkman and not explain to me why, and not give me a more detailed story about that, because I want that now. Or, like, give a kid with a baby doll mask a knife. Or what did he have? He didn't even have a knife. He had, like, a yeah, that's, like, aggressive. I want to see that movie. I don't know. I feel like there's just so much potential for more Fear Street content in the future that makes me really excited. Because, like, I don't know, you love a good slasher and stuff, and even if, I don't know if they would be building off of the universe with, like, whole new casts, or do something, like I said, that's, like, kind of in the vein of American Horror Story, where you reuse the same actors, just different characters. Which, by the way, if you're listening, you're a American Horror Story fan, they currently have 3 episodes on Hulu of their spin-off American Horror Stories, and then the actual season 10 comes out August 25th, I think. But yeah, I'm personally patiently awaiting the 10th season. But anyways, I do think that, like, for horror fans and everything, it's definitely a good series. These Fear Street movies get definitely good. Maybe it'll make you nostalgic. Maybe it'll just get you into stuff that you're not really exposed to normally. Maybe you are a film buff and you like how they played off of old stuff. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways that this can appeal to a lot of different people, and I think I would recommend it to most people.
Yeah. And, like, for me, I don't always feel the draw to horror movies, because do I always want to sit down and watch people get axe murdered? No, not always. Sometimes there are some days when, like, sounds appealing, but for the most part, no. But for me, I really liked how there was a queer romance at kind of the center of these 3 movies, and I really liked that, because you don't always get to see that in film, and especially in the horror genre. So for me, that's what appealed to me and got me intrigued, and I'm glad that I ended up watching these movies, because I enjoyed myself.
Oh my god, yeah, we totally didn't talk about that. I am all for literally, like, any movie that is going to have like, queer representation, but it's not the conflict of the story. Because I feel like that happens a lot, where it's like, oh, these 2 girls like each other, and the conflict of the story is that people don't want them to like each other because they're both girls. And I mean, there's a little teensy bit of that in this, but that was because it was, like, the 1600s, and that made sense. And there's a little bit of it in the first one, but, like, even then it was the 90s, which made sense. But the actual conflict of the movie didn't surround that, and I thought that was good. Like, they had more character to them than just, like, they're filling out the role of queer representation. They were actually, like, characters, and I like that.
Yeah, like, nobody told me there were gay people in these movies. Like, what? Thanks a lot. Did I figure that out on my own?
Well, I hope it didn't take you too
really
long to figure it out. So I feel like it was pretty. Jenna's just, like, at the end of it, she's just like, wait a minute, could they have been more than best friends?
Oh my god. What? What do you mean they weren't just
were
really
they not
good friends?
Were they not just gal pals? But anyways, guys, I feel like that pretty much covers these movies. I'm proud of us for not really going off on any tangents, but that also might just be because there were 3 movies to talk about. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, all that good stuff. If you're not on YouTube right now, hello. thank you for listening on whatever platform you're on. You could probably follow us wherever you are, and if you like YouTube, you can join us over here. If you subscribe, you won't miss our regular videos that come out every weekend-ish. I believe Jenna's making a video this weekend. I have a vlogging thing going on right now. I took a bit of a hiatus for a thing that I was doing this week, but I'll get back into that if that's what you're into. And we're just here to have fun, talk about movies, talk about TV, just keep y'all in the loop. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Those will be on the descriptions. We also got on Twitter now. That's fun. And yeah, so if you want to see more of us, if you want to help our channel grow, it really does mean a lot. And we appreciate you. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching. Jenna, you have anything to add?
No, we started in like the 90s, and then we brought it back to the 70s, and then we brought it back to the 60s. The 1660s.
Okay, bye!